Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and this is how to create a 3D endless runner in Unity, and welcome to episode 16. In this tutorial we are going to enable our scenes to link together, and we're also going to add in a background for our main menu that we created in the last tutorial. Don't forget, click the subscribe button and click on that little bell icon as well to stay up to date with every tutorial still to come in this series and everything else on game development on my channel. With that in mind, let's get to work. So, at the end of the last tutorial, I spoke about having a background in this particular menu, and realistically it is really simple. Theoretically, we've already got our assets built into our game so far, so we're just going to use a nice quick simple copy paste method to create something that's a little bit more constructive than just the standard Unity background. So let's head to our desert run scene, and if you remember, we built a couple of sections, and hopefully by now your sections look very different than mine. Mine are incredibly basic in this tutorial. Naturally, in the game, Timmy and Mousy, they aren't this basic. I've just done this to kind of get things moving along. So your sections should look really nice and fancy. So it's up to you whether you want to take the best looking one or just take any old one. I guess it doesn't really matter. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to use a section like this. So this section here, I'm going to copy, head back to the main menu and paste. Now, the biggest difference here is the lighting is going to be a little bit different. Doesn't really matter too much, to be honest. And the placing of the camera is going to be completely different. So although we have this particular section here, we can't really see anything because, well, the camera can't see it. So best way to do this at the moment is try and bring all of this into the center of this main menu scene. So over here, set the position to 0, 0, 0, like so. And hopefully we should see something. There we go. So we've got a very basic kind of looking main menu scene now. What I would like to do though, is I would like to play around with the lighting and camera. But again, it's entirely up to you what you want to do. Well, I'm going to bring this up, across, turn the camera, probably 90 degrees or so. Bring it down. Let's get rid of some of this cliffs because we don't need it, because the camera will never actually see it. All I will say is just be careful you don't accidentally delete the canvas. So how does that look? Okay, I might undo some of that actually. How does that look now? Okay, so let's play around with our camera, get it into a position, maybe about there. And you can see in the mini camera view here, it looks a little bit funky. So let's take some of this and move it along, just so as the camera has something all the way in it. And again, you could always use some of this geometry to just kind of make bigger backgrounds, I guess. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. There you go. So you can see there, I've just kind of modified that. It looks really huge. I might do the same with this one here, just kind of move it, make it look even huger. There you go. So next thing, let's quickly add in Timmy and Mousy to give this a little bit of variation. So if we go to our characters, and in fact we've just got Timmy for now, so Timmy's fine. If you've already imported Mousy, no problem whatsoever. So I'm going to bring in Timmy, which is, if I just bring him in there and press play, hopefully he should actually, right, he's not doing anything. Okay, so let's now take that and let's add in just the idle animation. So if I, oops, I've already got the idle animation, that's why it's not working. So that Timmy character there, I'm going to rotate him 90 degrees so he faces the camera. Let's remove the, in fact he doesn't even have it on him, so that's fine. So drag and drop the idle animation onto Timmy, and let's see if he should. There we go. So you can see Timmy idle there, no problem. Now in the Timmy and Mousy game, they do have multiple characters there, and they are kind of dancing. So you know, it's again, it's up to you how you want to do it. But I've just done a quick little illustration here of what you can do to make your main menu a little bit more entertaining to look at, as it were. Last thing we'll do, let's play around with the lighting so we can see things a little better. Let's change it, and then let's rotate. Maybe about there, perhaps. I guess it doesn't really matter how you have it. It's entirely up to you. But essentially, that is a nice quick background for a main menu. Cool. So next thing is let's allow ourselves to come from our main scene into this main menu when we end our game. And like I say with this, it doesn't matter what you do. You can play around this a whole lot more than what I've done. As I keep saying, for inspiration, go play that Timmy Mousey game and see what it could look like. And we'll make this more dynamic as the series goes on. So let's save this now and let's head to our scenes folder and back to Desert Run. And if you remember at this point, if we press play and run around, we hit something and then we get the end screen right here. There we go. And then it should fade out soon enough. There we go. So we kind of want to take it back to the main menu at that point. So to do that, we need to go to our level control, and I believe it is our end run sequence here. So let's open that end run sequence script in Visual Studio. Now we need to add in a namespace at the top because we're dealing with scene management here. We need to specifically tell this script it needs to load a scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the code for it, and then we're going to set up those scene numbers so as then everything works. If we don't set up the scene numbers correctly, this piece of code will not work correctly. So let's type up here using Unity engine dot scene management with a semicolon. And here, this is the sequence that we're following. So after 5 seconds, we set all this and then we set the end screen on. So I'm actually going to reduce that to 3 seconds for now. And then after 5 seconds of having our screen displaying what we've done, we then fade out. But I'm going to reduce that also to 3 seconds. And below that fade out .set active true line, we're going to add in another wait, and that's waiting for the end screen to kind of fade out. So we can say yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and we're going to wait for 2 seconds. After those 2 seconds, we are then going to transition ourselves to our main menu. So we can say scene manager dot load scene, and in brackets for now we type 0. Now this will change in various scripts across this entire series depending on where we want to change our scene to, but for now let's keep it as 0. So save our script and head back into Unity and let that compile. Just take a few seconds. And like I said, we need to set up particular scenes in a particular order to allow the script to work. If we press play now, it wouldn't do anything. It would just repeat the same process where it fades out, but then you'd end up with an error in your console. So we now need to go to File and go to Build Settings. So in Build Settings, we need to add in our scenes up here. So if we click our scenes folder here and first drag in main menu, make sure you do main menu first and not desert run scene first. You'll notice up here we now have a 0, and if we drag in desert run, we have a 1. This is why we put the 0 in our script to begin with, because 0 in scene management now refers to main menu because we've set it as scene 0 in the build settings, which would technically mean that Desert Run Level 1 is now Scene 1. So in this script, if we were to change this 0 to a 1, it would mean that we just load up the same scene all over again. So let's close that. And now let's press play and we'll see this in action. So yeah, we're running along, all good. Let's crash into the log. There we go, and it will fade out now. And transition to the main menu. And there we go. So it is really, really simple to transition from one scene to another in Unity. Now, the key to all of this is to loop back around, and in our main menu scene, we now need this play game button to take us to, for now, that scene that we run in, so we can have a constant game loop going on. Now, it will change later in development because we're going to end up with character selection, level selection. So for now, all we really want to do is just enable that button to take us to our main level. So to do that, we need to go to scripts, and we're going to create a new folder called menu. So any scripts that we base a menu on will be in this folder right here. So let's create C# script and have this as main menu function. And let's open that up in Visual Studio. So all we need to do is code a small section to make our button work properly. So for now, let's actually go to our canvas and go to our play game button. Let's pan the camera around so we can see a little better. And this button right here is got a little section down here. This is what we're going to modify via a script. So let's head to our script. We're going to get rid of, in fact, we'll keep the void start and void update just for now. They're not too important, but we will use them within this main menu function script later on. So let's add in at the top using Unity engine dot scene management. And below void update, we don't need to use those methods for now. We can create a public method called anything we want, obviously within reason, but logic would dictate for it to make sense. So let's say public void, and let's call it play game, open close bracket, open curly bracket. Not sure why that's highlighted there. It's complaining about something. Oh, it's because we've not put the there we go, schoolboy error. Just make sure we put the closed the semicolon there. So this public void play game, that's going to be what directly affects our play game button. So for now, all we want to do is whenever we click it, we just go to the game. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more to it later on. We're going to have fading, we're going to have button noises, all that kind of thing. But for now, we just need that function to be able to kind of keep going through the game loop cycle. So when we press it, we're going to say scene manager dot load scene, and in brackets 1, and save. And it really is as simple as that. I'm going to get rid of those annotations as well, obviously because we don't actually need them right now. So yeah, if we head back into Unity, we now need a game object where we can store all the menu scripts. So game object, create empty. I'm actually going to put this center of the scene. Doesn't really matter where it's stored or anything like that, but keep things as tidy as possible. We'll call this menu functionality. And on menu functionality, we're going to drag and drop our main menu script. Obviously, there's no variables to worry about. We don't need to add any in or anything like that right now. But what we do need to do is we need to tell that button that its code is stored within this script. So let's click play game. And remember, I showed you this down here where it says on click list is empty. Click on plus, and you'll see that on click, we can get it to do this. Where is the script stored? Well, it's stored in menu functionality, so drag and drop it there. And then click no function, and then click on the script we just created, in this case, main menu function, and then click on the method we want to use. In this case, it's play game. So now, when we click this button, it will invoke this method, and it will do this. And remember, this load scene 1 directly refers to the build settings right there. So let's save that scene. Let's press play. And let's see if we can complete a full loop here. Let's start on the main menu, click play game, crash, and come back to the main menu. So play game. And there we go, we've transitioned. And there we've hit that. So results, perfect. And then we should see the fade. And back to main menu. So we can start that all over again. So play game. And there we go. So we can repeat that cycle over and over and over. The script will never fall down because it is basically set, hard. It can never change. It's always going to be that. Obviously, it will change later on development. Like I said, I think it was last tutorial. Start small, build up, build and build upon what you've built. Best way to do it. So next tutorial, what we're going to do is we are going to implement some jumping mechanics. So obviously at the moment, our main level, if I go to it here, we have a log which we cannot jump over. So we need to implement a way of jumping, and we're going to do that using the spacebar. So yeah, next tutorial, we're going to implement those jumping mechanics. Until then, thank you very much for watching.